So you don't even know these people, and you know the name
No.
of the first girl that was kissed by that guy in seat 7.
You know, I'm not using any kind of trickery. I didn't search you on Google. I'm not using an earpiece. I had, anything like that. So what's happening in that scenario, that connection at the end is, it's like, I call it the concert of the mind. It's like all these voices talking. I pick up a lot of stuff and I just, I got a pad and a pen and I'm just kind of letting my hand write. And I just call out what I'm writing.
Welcome, everybody. Today, we're going to talk about the magic of your mind and the power that it has to create your reality. Now, bear with me. This is not about manifestation. This is not about the law of attraction. This is a conversation with one of the world's most renowned mentalists. And he's here to teach you how you can harness the power of your mind to achieve more, to have more, to do more in this life. Today's guest is Brent Webb. He's an internationally acclaimed mind power expert who for decades has left his audiences in jaw-dropping disbelief at his abilities. Now, he started as a magician doing magic tricks, but he immediately realized the magic that they're actually experiencing is in their mind, not on the stage. So you think about it. If your mind can convince you that a woman that was just cut in half is put back together, what else could it convince you of? And how do you tap into that to create a new reality for yourself? His understanding of the human mind is unparalleled and has led to Fortune 500 companies, celebrities, sports teams, all seeking him out so they can help to understand the hidden abilities that they or their people have so that they can excel in all areas of their lives. So if you want to be more than you are today, you need to hear what Brent Webb has to say. Brent, welcome to the show, buddy. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, it's my pleasure. What a great intro.
So great to have you here, fresh from the Caribbean.
Yes.
Okay, first question. I know your business has kind of pivoted a bit, but you came up in the magician and the mentalist world, and that was your track to sort of success to what you're doing now in Mind Power. Do you still use your mentalist skills? Because if you do, I have a question for you.
A test.
I do. I mean, my show is still, heavy on that, but there's so much more. I mean, to the motivation, you mentioned the law of attraction. I mean, that's one of the big problems. Everyone's read these books,
right?
And they think if I sit on my sofa and I just wish for a Ferrari, it's going to be in my driveway. And it doesn't work like that. You have this amazing supercomputer. You just don't know how to use it. The power is in there, but the subconscious mind is really what the law of attraction is. It's not some secret thing. It's you. I mean, you have the power. You don't have to buy anything, do anything. You've got it. You just have to learn how to unlock it.
So if I'm thinking of a color, do you think that you could guess that color?
Well, that's not what I do. I mean, I do a stage show. Like,
I saw that. I saw that in some of your old stuff, and I was like all prepared. I even have my color in my lap, waiting for you to guess it.
Before we finish, well, actually, let me try something. What the hell?
Okay. I mean, I know I'm taking you back to your old gig. You know what I mean?
I don't want to do. Let's not do a color because the color is hard to transfer. Okay, but let's do something else.
Appreciate this, by the way, Brent.
I'm gonna try. Well, we're gonna do it backwards, though.
Okay, cool.
So it means I'm gonna try. Let's see if this works. I'm gonna close your eyes for a second. Just you. Okay. Okay. I want you to think of a 1-digit number, just one digit.
Okay, I got it.
Say it out loud. First thing you think of.
5.
And then I want you to think of another one.
7.
Is there any reason you thought of 57?
Oh my God.
Or no.
Are you serious? How in the world did you do that?
That's easier to transfer because a color is like an abstract thing, but something definite like a thought, when you're thinking of something specific.
I literally have chills right now, Brent. That is ridiculous.
Now, did what just happen? Were you able to put that thought in her head? Is that what you're saying?
Did you transfer
put those
thought?
numbers in her mind?
Look, I have many, many skills in the arena of, mind manipulation, implanting things to be able to do a performance.
Right.
But the power that you harness when we do something like that is you. I mean, we're using a very small 7% daily of our mind's capacity. Think about it. I mean, how small that is. We're using the most amazing computer in the universe for things like, keeping track of the most crazy stuff that makes no sense, worrying about what Mary thinks of our dress, worrying about, if we're going to be able to do this, worrying about something that happened in the past. That's what we use this thing for.
All that energy.
We use it. yeah, all of this amazing power we use to go back in the past and try to, which we can't fix, right? But we start thinking, if I had done this, then maybe this wouldn't have happened. We're in the past or we're in the future, thinking about something horrible that we think is going to happen. So it's like we're never here in this moment, kind of creating our life. And that's where our power is. This mind power is real, but we've just got it buried. It's like we're a hoarder in that TV show. We're living in a house we've built full of crap that we have to move out of the way to get to that power again.
But it's incredible. Like, so you just in your mind just think, and then I say what comes to my mind, and then somehow you knew that, and I swear that was not pre-rehearsed. Like that just like came out of nowhere, totally spontaneous.
Well, I didn't know we were
totally. I know. Sorry, I totally put you on the spot, but that's crazy.
I can't. I need to go back and watch this very closely. I'm still a little blown away by what
you have to ask a question because I can't even talk.
Why do we? You just said like we spend so much of our time in the past. We know it doesn't serve us, right? So many people live in the past and they can't get over it, whether it's positive, negative, whatever. Why are we doing that?
Well, it's because what we've been programmed to do our whole life. I mean, when we're born, a child is a blank slate. They have no, they're not racist. They're not homophobic. They don't have a religion. They don't have a name. They have nothing. It's programming, and it's not always in an evil way. I mean, your parents are programming you with what their parents programmed them with, and the people around you, and your teachers, and your government, where you're born in the world, your friends, the media, all of those things are programming. So when you get 18, 19 years old, you have programming in your mind telling you who you should be, what you should do, what you should like, what you should dislike, who you should hate. And it's not yours. I mean, you didn't purposely create that. A lot of it is things that other people put in you. So your job, it doesn't matter what happened to you then, as a child, your job as an adult is to get rid of all of the stuff that doesn't matter and get to the real you. Some people are doing jobs they don't want to do. Their parents thought, my dad wanted me to be a lawyer. I mean, I should be a lawyer right now, right? If I had gone that way, it's like you live in this programming. It's the first 8 years. It's like we have a tape recorder in our head and it records everything that we do, right? Like everything we see, we hear, we feel, we hate, we love, we touch, everything. And then about 9 years old, the tape stops. And for the rest of your life now, anytime you're out of the moment, which is about 80% of the time for most people, you slip onto that old tape. And it's the tape you made when you were a kid. You weren't logical, you weren't mature, but it's the tape that's running in your head today. Anytime you're not in the moment. And like I said, it's almost all day for most people.
So how do you tap into that? How do you tap into that mind power? What do you suggest for people?
Well, I always talk about the ABCs of mind power, and it's the gist of the show, the gist of the seminar.
Let's hear
it's really
it.
three. It's the three things, the ABCs. The first is awareness. I mean, you have to know what's going on in your mind before you can do anything about it. We've got a voice talking inside of our head. Usually I call it the bitchy roommate. You're trapped in a house with someone who narrates your life, and it's usually the most negative stuff. You're never going to do this. You're too fat in those jeans. You shouldn't eat this. It's this voice that we think is us, right? But it's not us. It's just the conditioned past. It's the voice of, it's trying to match what's happening now to something that happened in the past to make you feel safe. That's what it does. But it's always going to the worst case scenario. It's trying to make the moment ahead of you like some bad moment in the past, or that some bad moment is going to happen in the future. So becoming aware of what's on your mind is super important, because if 80% of the day you're on autopilot, that means 80% of the day your mind is running, your subconscious is going, and you're taking all that in, but you're not aware of it. You don't even know what it's saying half the time. So I tell people, get a Post-it note. Get a couple of Post-it notes, get a marker, draw a happy face, a heart, something, stick those up around the house, in the office, in the car, wherever. And your job for a couple of days, you get a pad and a pen, keep it near you. And anytime you see the Post-it note, that's your trigger to stop and figure out what's on your mind that moment. Because when you do that, you're able to realize what's going on right now. There's a train of thought happening. Many times we're not on that trail. We're not on that trail. So by becoming aware immediately, you just write it down. Yeah. This is what I was thinking about.
I've heard you say that. That's fascinating.
It's like Eckhart Tolle's presence. Like he always talks about that. It sounds so simple. It's so hard to do.
Well, this is why this trick works so well, because it gets you to stop without because if you try to think about it, during the day. You try to stop and think about it. By the time you get to the thought, it's now you're thinking about stopping and getting to the thought, right? But seeing that immediately, as soon as you see the heart or whatever, immediately
Brings
what's
you
on my
back.
mind, you write it down. At the end of a few days, you read that note and you see all of the BS that your mind is spewing. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Those
As
jeans
soon as
suck.
you see it, the power goes away because there's no power. We're afraid of it. But as soon as we see it, it's not logical. It makes no sense. It's almost laughable. So the power starts to go away. The other thing I tell people, my other big trick that I teach is you name the voice. Because the voice isn't you. You're the observer of the voice.
And we know yours. It's
okay?
Carl, right?
Oh, it is.
Yeah, we did some
I
research.
tell everyone that, and I teach this.
Yeah.
And people come up to me and go, "Oh, Esmeralda tried to get me off track this morning." And I go, "Esmeralda, is that your voice?" Yes. So you name the voice, and I'll tell you, this is psychologically important. This is why this is powerful. You name it, and it takes the power away because you look at the voice now. Like I always look at my voice like a petulant child. Like Carl is a 9-year-old little boy who's not getting what he wants, and he's pouting and he's mad. And if oh, there goes Carl again. Oh, listen, what Carl's, it takes the sting away because what we normally do is the voice starts, right? And we get sucked into it. And now we're in the emotions and we're in the feelings and we're in the worry of it. This is like, oh, there goes Carl again. And it disconnects you from it. And the more you do that, the more you look at the Post-it note and you write down what's on your mind, you listen to what Carl is saying and you laugh at it. It gives you a break, a little break. So now the tape is getting little breaks in it and you're able to break out of it. B is belief, because without that, nothing else is going to happen. If you don't believe in yourself first, and you don't believe you can have what you want, it's like people pray all the time. But you know what? Why they don't come true most of the time? You don't believe you're going to get what you're praying for. You don't believe that you deserve it for some reason. Inside, that little inner you is saying you're not good enough. You're not. There's all the reasons you can't have it. So it blocks you from it.
Wow.
So belief overrides everything. And then the C is connection, because and it's not just the idea that, because there's this illusion that we're all separate, which is not true. We're all connected to each other. There's a universal consciousness. And then there's our individual consciousness. When you break through from your individual and you get into that mass consciousness, it changes because you're not separate. It's this idea that it's me versus you. And if I don't get mine, or, I have to get mine before you get it from me. And all this idea of competition, that's not true. But the most important connection is the connection you make with yourself. Because we've spent so many years piling stuff in our mental house that we can't get to the real us. So you have to do some form of meditation, chanting, prayer, something where you're sitting alone in a room for a few minutes every day, being quiet, breathing, and just connecting. Maybe many people are afraid of it because that voice is the only thing in the world that knows all the things you've done, things nobody ever knows.
Maybe that's
the things
why I can't meditate. Yeah.
And it will use them against you.
Scared of the voice.
Right.
Right. It's going to say, remember that time that you did this?
Right.
And nobody ever found out about it. But it's torturing you. It's like you live in your cell with the person torturing you. You can't get away from it. So those are the ABCs: awareness, belief, and connection.
So let me talk about that voice again, because recognizing the importance of identifying the negative voice and not listening to it or trying to exercise it from your mind. Talk to me about the importance of having the positive voice to counteract it, because it is a zero-sum game with your inner voice. Either you win or that voice wins. So you need that third party.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, there are two distinct voices. That's what you have to remember. That one of the confusion points for most people is they think that voice is them, and they think I'm going to change that voice and it's going to change. Okay, but there are two voices. There's the voice you can make talk. Like if I said to you, I want you to say house inside your head. Just do it right now. Say it. Say house, house, louder, louder. You can hear it. You can feel it. You can hear it, right? That's a voice that you're making talk. Like if you're trying to figure out maybe somebody's address, or you see somebody coming towards you and you don't remember their name, you go back into your memory banks and you're thinking, but you're making that, you're doing that. But then there's the voice that in the middle of nowhere, you're driving and says, remember that time you peed your pants at your birthday party when you were 7? Where did that come from? Right? That's the voice that you have to watch out for, because it makes no sense.
He knows everything.
Carl. And it's always, if you listen to it, it will give you horrible advice, right? The advice will be wrong. Then it will take the complete opposite tact and go on that. I mean, it'll just talk to talk. It's not talking to give you words from God or a vision of the future. It's talking to make you feel safe. I mean, the world is big and it's like we're on a rock hurtling through space, right? So this kind of like brings your world in. You live inside your mind. Instead of living in the world, you're living in your idea of the world, because it's all your likes and dislikes and who, how you see certain people. So when you see reality, it's through the veil of your past and your fears of the future. You're never seeing it for what it is. So the voice in your head, I look at it like an adversary. Some people look at it like, oh, I'm going to make it okay. But when the voice is a little nasty kid, right? But he's not trying to help me. And he's not trying to do anything constructive. When the voice talks, the biggest trick is you just don't get sucked into it. You look at it as an observer and you say, this is what's happening. This is what Carl's saying. But you don't allow the voice to say, you look horrible in these jeans. And then you start obsessing about it, because now you're pulled into thought. You're pulled into this mind game, out of reality and into your mind.
Be positive. Like, you can't change your neural pathways to make that voice be, oh, you're the best and you're doing a great job today. Like, it always will be negative in your perspective.
No. What you do once first of all, you've got to become aware. Like I said, that's your big thing. But once you've done that for a while, what you start doing, and you get control of it. Okay, Carl's talking. So now Carl's saying, you look horrible in these jeans. You can think of the opposite thought, which would be, I look fine in these jeans, whatever. You can create the opposite thought. So you never let it get away with a negative thought without replacing it with something positive.
I love that.
Okay.
That's cool.
So you can do that, and it will eventually, but in order to do that, you have to figure out what it's saying, when it's saying it, why it's saying it.
Can I go back to the tape recorder, the first 8 or 10 years of your life? The content that's put on that tape recorder is coming from your parents or whoever's raising you at the end of the day. So if your parents have listened to Carl their entire lives and made no attempt to quiet that voice, they're giving you that voice in the first 8 or 10 years of your life.
Yeah, they're giving you their generational trauma that their parents gave them. The thing is, it's not just them, though, because then you also have yourself in there. Because once you start being programmed, now it's all the things you're thinking. I'm not as good as these friends because they have more money, or I don't look as good as that also goes onto the tape. So the parents created, of course, and your siblings and the people around you.
Bullies.
But then it's all of the, when somebody said, I used to have a math teacher, I talk about this in my show, when I was in 2nd grade, who was one of those just horrible, you're never going to get this. Why are you so stupid?
Oh, that's terrible.
And great teacher.
That idea, you're no good at math is just a thought. It's somebody's opinion. Somebody says it, right? But you're a little kid. And so it's an authority figure. Somebody says that enough. You start thinking, oh my God, I'm no good at math. I'm not going to be able to do this. Over and over, you create a belief. That stupid thought that she had became my life for years. I just thought, I'm an idiot when it comes to math. I mean, she knows what she's talking about. That's what we do. So the first part of it, yes, somebody gave you it. But then you spend all your time creating it, turning that thought into your belief, and then you live it. And for you, it becomes the truth.
How does your message change, or does your message change for younger adults or teens? The mind of a teen is so negative, right? And I think you actually have Mind Power for Kids, right? You have either a program. I don't think it's a separate book, correct? It's a separate program.
Yeah, it's a program we put together a few years ago. We open it a few times a year. I mean, we're full right now, but it's a program where it's not a program for adults with kids. It's a program where, it's teaching the kids, right? Because nowadays, in 1989, the attention span of an American was 6.5 minutes. Today, it's 7 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Because everyone's on their phone and everyone lives there. I've gone to concerts, $200 a seat concerts, and the people in front of me are recording the concert on their phone and watching it. So why didn't you just stay home? Why are you here? You're not even in the moment. You're like making this, the angles are right. You're doing all of this. So I think technology is amazing. It allows us to do amazing things, but it's also disconnected us from each other and from ourselves. I mean, our true inner selves, because we can't take a second of downtime without, I'm going to go on TikTok, or we just can't. It's like, it gets very uncomfortable. Right. So it's what I say to kids is, you've got to take a break from that. because you have to disconnect from it's programming. Some corporation somewhere is programming you. I mean, you're only seeing I like this, I don't like this, I like this. They're figuring out what you like. Now you're seeing things you like. You mentioned something that you're looking for, and all of a sudden you see ads for it. That's what they care about.
So
They're
weird.
not trying to make your life better with this website or this app. They're trying to sell you stuff. They're trying to sell advertisers your information. So you're cattle, really. I mean, you're part of someone else's business, right? So it's very easy to become a sheep in that. So take a break. I mean, if I had to say one thing, it'd be take a break a couple hours a day, get off your phone and spend some time with yourself. Go out, figure out what it is you like, because and you can't live the life you were meant to live unless you find your passion. We live in two worlds. We have an inner world, which is like our inner world, thoughts and ideas and emotions, and right, we live here. Then there's the outer world, which is people and things and concrete items. Those two worlds are connected to each other. The problem is it's usually something happens in the outer world. Somebody walks up and says, wow, you look like crap today. And you take it to your inner world and you obsess over it and you get upset over it, right? But it also works the other way. What you're doing here, it can influence the outer world if you start creating the right thoughts, the right mindsets. So this two world concept, the idea, all the things that matter are in the inner world, like love and confidence and all of those things. Like go out and buy a pound of confidence. Where are you going to get it? Go out and try to find, try to get 2 heaping plates of love. You're not going to get it. It's an inner thing. So what we're doing, which is wrong, is we're in the outer world trying to find something we think will make us happy in our inner world. And it's backwards. It's like when I get that guy, I'll be happy. When I get that job, I'll be happy. And what it does is it puts happiness slightly ahead of you. Always. You're chasing it instead of just be happy, try to be happy now, and then you'll get things to be happy for. If you said you meditate with gratitude, gratitude is an amazing superpower. The more you feel gratitude for something and the more you feel, grateful that you have something, the more things you get to be grateful for.
Like when you do your shows, how do you do this to an audience? Like, what's the structure of one of your shows that you do, like say on the cruise ship or wherever you have them?
Well,
maybe we can get more people there if you need it.
The show is a mixture. Like I said, there's entertainment, which I've done all my life, opening for celebrities and doing big corporate events. And then there's the seminar I also do on the ship, which is a separate thing. But I no longer wanted to just do a show where there's no connection. So the show is a mixture. So in other words, I'm still doing, things. I mean, of course, I have backup things. I have stagecraft.
Things like your magic.
Well, like for instance, in the show.
Yeah.
There not so much magic, but there are things like, where I have to implant maybe subliminally, or I may use some trickery, some verbal things here and there. But a lot of it, the finale of the show, I sit in a chair on stage and I just start to say, 1500 Elm Street, who was born there?
Wow.
And somebody will call out and they'll stand. And the end of the show is just people all over the theater standing up. This was the name of the first girl you kissed. Who's thinking of Mary Evans? Where are you? And so that's the end of that. But to get to that point, it's like a concert of the mind. I mean, I have all these voices going on. So there's a lot of, we're building up, I'm teaching people what you can do, showing them. And then, like I said, some things are there with stagecraft to inspire you. But I'm not saying everything I do is absolutely real. But what I teach, what I tell with the mind, everything I teach, I have done. I've taught people all over the world to do, and sports teams and celebrities, and I know it works. So I'm trying to combine those two things. That's what I'm in right now, is this idea of how do I make this hybrid of the show I used to do and the show I really want to do, and how do I do both of them?
Because it's fascinating. Like if you were to look at me and say, oh, I know the street you lived on when you were a kid, like that's like mind-blowing, right? But
it's mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing.
But I've seen the videos of you do that, and it's shocking, and I wonder how you do that.
You're a skeptic, right?
I'm 100% skeptic.
Like you're not looking at people's addresses as they walk in. Like you know what I mean? You're not doing research.
This is a cruise ship.
This is a cruise ship.
So you don't even know these people, and you know the name of the first girl that was kissed by that guy in seat 7.
I'm not using any kind of trickery. I didn't search you on Google. I'm not using an earpiece. I had, anything like that. So what's happening in that scenario, that connection at the end is, it's like, I call it the concert of the mind. It's like all these voices talking. I pick up a lot of stuff and I just, you know, I got a pad and a pen, and I'm just kind of letting my hand write, and I just call out what I'm writing. But how this started, I'll tell you. I did a meditation retreat years ago for 2 weeks, and I went to a monastery with a bunch, 5, 6 people, and I met the head monk there, and he said to me, "What do you do?" And I said, "I'm a mentalist." He said, "What is that?" And I said, "Oh, you know, I can read your mind. I can do this, like, you know." And he said, "Think of any word." And I said, "Okay." He said, "Lumberjack," and that was it.
Wow.
And so here's me, who my whole life I've done, like, I wanted to be a magician. And this guy just did for real what, you know, he didn't write it down. He didn't ask me to write it. He didn't, you know, tell me to fold it up and put it somewhere where you know, he could have looked at it. He just said, "Think about it." And he told me what it was. And he said, you know, the idea that mind reading is impossible is for somebody who doesn't believe in this universal consciousness, because we all have individual consciousness, like I said, but if you tap into that universal, you're now tapped into everyone's consciousness. So the idea that you can put a thought in or take a thought out is not, I mean, it makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're all energy. So that's kind of where it changed for me. I mean, I've met people that are so spiritual, they meditate 8 hours a day. They are in constant state of bliss. I haven't gotten to that point. You know, I have to go in and out of it, but I can see you know, the end game. A lot of people's end game, their life is incredible. They take their self out of the equation. In other words, my likes, my dislikes, and they just live for what happens.
Yeah.
And when you can get to that point, I mean, that's like the ultimate.
That's huge.
You know,
that's
somebody who's completely awakened.
Have you ever been in an audience and like something bad pops in?
Yeah.
Well, I was doing it once, and there was a lady who was sitting with her husband. And her whole thing was just about asking a question. And so I said, and I didn't know exactly, but I said where this person was, but I said, okay, there's a lady in the audience and she's seated with her husband and she wants to know something, but I'm going to ask in this instance for you not to stand up. Wherever you are, don't stand up. And then I said, I was trying to figure out how to answer this question without giving way too much information, but I said, the answer to your question is, yes, he is. And you probably should consult an attorney when you get home.
Wow.
And every woman in the theater and 1,000 women all looked at their husbands. It was incredible. So it does happen occasionally, but I make a big point of saying, you know, this is all about positivity. What I'm going to teach you tonight. Okay. So we're not going to think about, I'm going to ask you not to think about negative things. I'm going to ask you, like, I'm going to say, think of your favorite TV show. Think of a movie that stuck out to you when you were a kid. So we can go back in a memory that's good. I'm not going to say, think of that birthday party where you embarrassed yourself and we have to go to that, because then all the feelings will rush back. So I try to create, you know, it's not just a show. It's like, I'm not just on stage entertaining you. I'm on stage, you're in the audience, but we're in this together. We're doing this together. It's like you said, it's happening in your mind, not so much up here. We're literally going back in time. We're taking you to a memory in your mind. I'm getting you to feel the memory because all the feelings flood back, and then we do something with it. You know, that's the difference, I think, between what I'm doing now and what I used to do.
And you can let that pass through. Like, does that not make you exhausted? Like, if you have 1,000 people in the audience and they're all thinking of thoughts and they're going in your brain, like I'd be so tired. I'd be like, you guys, like, can we just stop with the thoughts? Like, when can you shut that off?
I do, of course. I mean, I do it now. It takes me an hour to get into the zone really before and an hour after. But it used to be, yes, like you would go in the mall and you would feel things and I would go to school and know kind of who I was going to trust on the first day. That's just intuition. I just realized you can build all of these things we have to varying degrees depending on the person, but every one of them can be built up in your mind. You know, you can do it for yourself with a little bit of effort.
So hold on.
Okay.
Let me see if I got this right. So you're sitting in an audience and you're pulling from collective consciousness the thoughts that they have, or you're putting thoughts in that collective consciousness for them to pull themselves. So you are sharing a thought and you're able to say you were born at this address in this city. Right? And then the second part of that question is that because you have a special ability to do so, or you have an antenna that nobody else has, or is this something that you can teach her to do? 2 questions.
It's something I've taught people. I mean, I have. It's not something I teach regularly because it's an in-depth process. You have to have, you know, your intuition skills have to be good to begin with. You have to have some of that. The idea is when I say, look, I'm gonna try something now. I want you to think, because what I do is I have them think of thoughts, and I do that for a reason, because it breaks what you just said. It makes that idea that I researched you impossible,
Right.
because I can't decide what you're going to think about. So even if I know where you were born and what what your dad looks like, that information doesn't do me any good unless you're thinking about it, right? So I say, think about positive things. Think about your family. Think about, think about numbers, addresses, things like that. So that's kind of the directive at the beginning. And there's a little bit of like the way I talk, the way I know the psychology of everything I do to kind of get in there.
Sure.
It's not just, I'm magically, I mean, come on. But there's a definite process to it, and it doesn't work with everybody.
Right.
I mean,
I was going to say,
sometimes somebody will go,
yeah.
oh, there are people with the steel trap in their mind.
Right.
It's usually women. Men are much easier to pick up on out on the street somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
But in a show situation, the man is always like this. Like, you're not going to get in there.
Yeah.
You're not going to get. They usually think you're not going to embarrass me in front of my woman or something, right? The woman is just like, woo, but it can work. A woman can close the steel door really quickly, where a man usually can't. So it just depends. But I've had people yell out things. What's my PIN code on my phone? I can't get that. I mean, it takes me an hour to get in the zone. I have to, and I'm going to pick up certain people. Out of 1,000 people, if I get 20 people, it looks incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's 1,000 people in the audience, so it's not like I can't.
I feel like I'm an open book.
That's
like I feel
wild.
like I would just you'd be able to like read everything.
Well, he got your 57 somehow.
Yeah.
That's still.
It doesn't always work. I mean, I have to say.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I've done this so long that it doesn't scare me anymore to take the risk either. Because if something comes to me, I don't know why. Right. I'm just going to say it. Like, somebody's thinking about a red and blue boat that, something I see. And sometimes every once in a while I'm wrong, but very often I hit. And when it first started happening, I mean, it was scary because it wasn't just things would pop in, like an image would pop in, not just words or images. It just depends on how you learn. But so for me, words are good, but I never usually get pictures, like images. So I just learned to start, okay, somebody's thinking about an Oldsmobile Cutlass. I don't know why. Where are you? And then once they confirm it, then and then I can kind of get on the vibe with them, and then I can start to maybe get in there. But somebody yells out something. What's the PIN code to my phone? Right. And you can tell just by their voice that you're not going to be able to do anything.
Do you ever hear from the dead? Do you ever think?
No.
Yeah.
Do you
People always say, "Are you a medium?" And I say, "No, I'm an extra large."
Do you believe that is possible or
did
no?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did.
That's a good joke.
I've never seen it. And that's why I used to say, oh, these people, because I don't really, I mean, I have a lot of stuff that we do, but I'm not trying to get you into a program. That's where you can, I think, see the difference, because when it's a money thing, when it's like, oh, join this to, for this much money and I'll teach you this, or I'm going to talk to your dead grandma and she's going to, it's going to cost you this much. That's bullshit. I don't know. I've never seen it, but that doesn't mean it's not real. So I've stepped back from I'm absolutely sure. I've never seen it in front of me, but I know people like the Long Island Medium, things like that are fake. I know people that have worked with her and what she does to get, I know that's not real.
Right.
And you're using it for something much different and darker. You're using it for, exactly. Yeah. And just the karma of that, the feeling of that you're creating, no matter how great you think you're doing, how much money you're making, you're creating that feeling in yourself somewhere inside. What you're doing is wrong. And that overriding feeling, even though you don't realize it, is going to color kind of what you do. So, I kind of believe in, I wouldn't even try, to tell you the truth. I don't want to, I don't want to be in the Sixth Sense.
Some big names out there have done it over the years and made a lot of money over the years. John Edwards and Sylvia Brown. And I don't know.
Sylvia Brown was the worst. I mean, she was the one where they would, she confirmed someone dead, and then the kids showed up a couple of years later. Really? But she was wrong so much of the time. I mean, she was arrested for check fraud. I mean, if you look into her past, it was just, and she had the worst bedside manner of it. She had that real raspy voice, and the guy's like, I've been trying to find my daughter. She's been out. Your daughter's dead. She's under a bridge in New Jersey. And she had the worst bedside manner of anybody you've ever seen. And she was wrong so much, but people want to believe in that so much.
I know.
They want to believe that they can contact
I've been guilty of
people that have left.
I've really wanted to talk to dead people so much.
I'll tell you, the energy is around you. because I believe, and what I've been shown is that, you know, we're all energy. The energy goes on. And so when you die, when somebody dies, you hear many times they're looking up, they're talking to someone, like someone has come to take them over. And it's never, you never see anyone. They never see anyone. But they hear, they feel, it's like the love of the person. You know, that goes on. I mean, we are these celestial beings. We're playing this game somehow down here. I mean, we're in this body for a reason. And what are we doing? We're using it, like I said, for crap like, does Mary like what I'm wearing today? That's what we're doing. We're hurtling through space on a rock in the middle of nowhere.
We're getting
and we're
foot
worried
pictures and putting them on OnlyFans.
Right. This is what I ate for lunch today.
That's funny.
I mean, that's what we're doing.
Oh, you're
true.
awesome, Brent. So like, how can we help you? Like we've, you know, thousands of followers. We're not like you, but we can, you know, what's the word? Like, how can we get the word out for you? What do you need?
Well, the one thing, like I said, if you go to brentsgroup.com, there's no apostrophe. There's nothing to buy. You're not going to get into some funnel where I'm trying to sell you something. All it does is get you an invite to I have a free Facebook community, and I go deeper there because it's private. I can do videos. I can teach these things, and I'm not selling stuff. That's like I said, you don't have to meditate in a cave. You don't have to buy every course and then go to the next course and be on this level and get it's crap. If somebody's trying to make money all the time with what they're doing for you, it's not they may be teaching you real things, but the intent behind it, I mean, you don't have to buy anything. So that's what we do in the group. I teach you the ABCs in depth. I teach you what I teach other people. I've been doing it for so long. I just realized when COVID happened, I'm teaching the wrong people. I'm teaching rich people, billionaires, celebrities. They have trainers and nannies and business managers. It's you and me. It's everyday people that need to be able to live life without the anxiety and the fear and the stress and all of that we live under. They're not really living under that. They're making 20 million a picture, and you know, everybody does everything for them. So that's what changed it for me.
Great big
You're like the
picture to
perfect
focus
guest
on.
for us.
Yeah, for sure. You're a guru and a game changer all rolled into one.
Yeah.
And a magician and a mentalist. And oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You're a busy man is what
This
you
is
are.
awesome.
Jack of all trades.
You're awesome, Brent.
Yes.
This has been
It's been great.
Incredible conversation.
It's all about the mission of awakening more people to the idea that they can be more, and you don't have to buy anything. So, you know, whatever we can do together, let's just get more people to understand they've got the power. You just have to activate.
Thank you.
All right, all. Thank you for
so
watching.
much, Brent.
We
It's such a
appreciate it.
pleasure.
Thank you, Brent. We'll see you guys soon.